Do you constantly feel frustrated with the progress you're making in your business? It's not moving fast enough. You're not getting your personal to-do list done fast enough. You have all these things that you want to get done. You thought they'd be done within a month, and they're all still on your list. You constantly feel this sense of frustration. I've lived there most of my career. Most entrepreneurs I know feel exactly the same way. We envision a future, and it doesn't come to life fast enough. It takes forever to get there. And the reality is, building something does take a while. But if you follow a simple process that I've learned over the years, that, I'll be frank, sometimes I follow it, sometimes I don't, but when I do follow it, everything is better. If you'll follow this process, which I'm going to share with you, I think you'll find you make forward progress way faster. I know a ton of people that make or have built wealth in the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. And by tons, I mean 50 to 100 people, a lot of people. One of the things I've observed with all of them, and it's generally been true with me, the bulk of wealth creation comes from one thing, one really, really good business, or a business that is focused on real estate investing, or a business that is focused on private equity, investing in other businesses. My point is, if you look at the wealth in this country, if you look at very wealthy people, that wealth came from one thing that became incredibly good and incredibly big. Now, later in their career, you might find they angel invest or they have a bunch of businesses. And that's a luxury afforded to people once they build one really great thing that produces a lot of cash flow and a lot of wealth. And generally, if you look at their portfolios of everything they invest in, be it private equity, the stock market, bonds, angel investments, other businesses, the one asset that for the long term continues to outperform all other assets is that business that they originally founded that made them very wealthy. And this is a really important concept to understand as you think about building your business and as you think about tackling your to-do list. The focus on one thing and not getting distracted and growing that thing bigger and bigger and making it better and better, making it more and more profitable is the strategy that wins. If you look around and you study people with money, it's proven. That's the strategy that wins. Are there exceptions? 100%. Elon Musk is one of the biggest exceptions. But I wouldn't want his life in any possible way. So if this is the way wealth is created, then when you think about your business, you're probably better off building one really fantastic business, building it to a point where it runs very smooth. You have very key people helping you run it, and it's very profitable versus starting lots of other businesses. Okay? So if you buy into this concept, then everything else I'm about to say will make sense. The way you simplify your life, the way you simplify your business and get this level of success, I believe, for most entrepreneurs, is employing a strategy of planning and execution. So let me give you an example. And this will also model how you should act personally. It's where I've found the most success. So the idea is, and I'll just give you two names real quick. I'm just going to cut right to the point. There are two models that I really like that you might consider following, especially as you get bigger to run your business. There's a model called EOS, and there's a model called Scaling Up. Scaling Up's by a guy named Vern Harnish. EOS is by a guy named Gino Wickman. I'm not going to give you the entire model, but I want to call out a concept inside these two models, and they're frameworks by which you follow that allow you to operate and run your business. So as an example, in both of the models, there's a planning element and there's an execution element. The idea would be that you're focused on one thing, one business, and within a period of time, generally 3 months, you are focused on a set of a very few initiatives or priorities that we're going to accomplish. Those could be things that are issues in the business that we're going to fix. Those could be things that we want to accomplish. So for example, right now in my business, I am solely focused on implementing pest control marketing, Google Ads, postcards, door hangers, blog posts, etc. It's the only thing I'm thinking about right now to kind of model what I'm about to talk about. It's this one thing. I'm not worried about fertilization weed control marketing right now. I'm not worried about tree marketing. I'm not worried about any other thing in the business. Other people can worry about their things. I'm worried about only one thing, moving forward this activity. So that would be an example of, over the next 3 months, there might be an internal initiative of we are going to invest in really getting good and testing and figuring out what works around pest control marketing. Another initiative might be that right now we are seeing a really big surge in cancellations. Why is that happening? The next 3 months, this is our initiative. In the EOS world, they call these rocks. They're your goals. They're the things you want to accomplish over the next many months. I'm not sure what they call it in the Scaling Up world, which is by Vern Harnish. Scaling Up, by the way, is also a book. If you look up either of those books, if you read both of them, even if you don't follow the exact model, but you swipe ideas from it, it'll give you a structure by which to run your business that I think is fantastic. And the earlier you implement in your business, the better. So back to the example. For a quarter, for a 3-month period in our business, we're going to say, what are the opportunities and what are a few issues? And we can only do so many because we still have to operate the business. And every Monday, something's going to be thrown in our face that we've got to deal with over the weekend. And every day, there's going to be things that weren't expected that we are going to have to deal with. So it's not as though we can bury our head in the sand and just work on initiatives and just fix things. We've got to keep operating the business. So there's only so many things we can do. Initiatives to grow the business, things we're fixing. Generally, most companies try to basically do 3 to 5 big things a quarter, which is a 3-month period. I gave you an example of in my world, one of mine is everything pest control. And I try to only focus on that thing. So as you think about moving your business forward and actually getting things done, this is the way you want to think. So at a business level, every 3 months, we do planning. That might be just you. It might be you and several other team members. And we lay out what are the big 3 to 5 things that we're going to get done. And that's the plan. And then the plan is the plan. And for the next 3 months, you are essentially a machine. You go into heads down, get those 3 to 5 things done mode. If something blows up in the business, if there's a great new idea, if you listen to a new podcast, if you read an Alex Hormozy book, whatever you might do that gets you all excited as an entrepreneur because you love living in the future and you love new things and you love the next idea and you love the next thing that if I just did this, it'll fix all my problems, and none of that's true. If you do that, you have broken the plan. Those things can go on a list of ideas for next quarter. But once you make your plan, you are a robot. You are a machine for 90 days and you execute on that plan. And at the end of the 90 days, you come back up for air and you say, okay, what, given the state of the business at this moment, are the next 3 to 5 most important things we could possibly do? Are they some of those really cool ideas I had when I listened to a podcast? Are they some of the really cool ideas I had when I was talking to somebody at my business group? Maybe. But you've got to look at all of these opportunities and all of your new ideas, and you've got to essentially assign them a value. And you've got to say, I could do this one, and this is probably worth $50,000 a year to us. I could do this one. This is probably worth about $150,000 a year. I could do this one. This would stop probably 10 cancellations a month. If I add up that revenue, that's worth a lot of money to us. If I did this one, it would give me back 10 hours a week of my life. Ooh, that might be really important. And you've got to literally stack rank all those things, and they become your next 3 to 5 things for the next quarter. And that's how you want to think about it. Now, one of the things that you'll hear is there's a bias towards action is incredibly valuable. So you'll hear these stories of individuals where they'll talk about this idea, like when I have an idea, I go do it immediately, take a massive action immediately. And that makes a ton of sense. in a lot of cases, but it does not make sense in the operation of your business. That is how you jump around and bounce around. And a lot of people teach that concept. And there's a lot of scenarios where I could argue that's the right approach. But for the most part, if you know what to do, you would be far better served not getting distracted and taking massive action on the next new idea or the next thing your coach told you to do right this minute. Now, again, that could make sense, but oftentimes that thing should be evaluated to be on your list in the next quarter. So the takeaway here on this part, on the business aspect, is you go into planning mode, and then you think about it this way. We plan, and then we execute like a robot or a machine for 90 days. We don't go back and reevaluate. We don't rethink it. We don't watch another YouTube video and say, is this really the best thing I should be doing? No, we do. We can have all those conversations with ourselves or our team in 90 days. And then we make the next plan, and we become a robot again for 90 more days. That's how you move the ball forward. But this constant jumping around, a little here, a little there, it's detrimental. Back to my first point. If you think about how wealth is created in this country, it's a clue to how you should operate and how you should think. What do so many businesses owners do? They have a business, they spin up another business, then they spin up another business, and next thing you know, they've got 3 little businesses. And when they do the math, they're like, well, if I just start this new business, I already have 1,000 clients, I could sell this to 400 clients, I already have a great business, but it never quite works out that way. Or use a marketing example. They listen to a podcast, they get really excited about a new idea, they create a new marketing concept. They put the marketing concept out there in the world. But they don't put enough money behind it, they don't put enough time behind it, they don't do enough testing, meaning they iterate on different ideas, they don't measure the results. Pretty quickly, it's like, this is not working that great, I'm kind of bored by this, and they're on to the next thing. And nothing's ever focused on long enough to make it great, be it a business, a marketing concept, a hiring process, etc. When you think in terms of quarters, you work 3 to 5 concepts, 3 to 5 initiatives. And if at the end of a quarter, one of those initiatives is not done, but it still shows promise, that becomes one of the initiatives of the next quarter. If you do this, I promise you, you will see far more progress and you'll feel far less frustration. You will move the ball forward way faster. So now let's take that very same concept to your personal to-do list. I believe you do the same thing. I followed this methodically at times, and I've also strayed from it. And every time I follow it or come back to it, I am far happier. I make faster progress. And it also makes me feel more satisfied as though I know I will eventually get the result. But when we're just constantly jumping around doing whatever we feel like doing, nothing really moves forward very fast. We don't make much progress. Therefore, we don't have much hope. Therefore, we feel very frustrated all the time. All right, so now at a personal level, same concept. You have a million things. And I'm not talking about the daily activities such as tomorrow I need to do the scheduling to get the teams out in the field. Next Monday I need to do the invoicing. I need to make collection calls next Tuesday. I'm not talking about that stuff. That's the operations of the business. I'm talking about the things on your to-do list, be it personal items that just have to get done. Think of them kind of as projects. They're not something you do every week or every month. And I'm thinking about business to-dos. You've got all these things. A personal item might be you just bought a new truck. Your truck needs to get registered and it needs to get inspected. And you keep putting that off. I do that all the time. I've got 4 cars right now that have not been registered for years. That's why it came to mind. I just keep kicking that ball down the road because it's never my highest priority. But it's an example of something that eventually has to get done. It's a project. All right. Then you might have business activities. Like, for example, I'm working on a marketing campaign for pest control. I'm rewriting all the headlines for my Google ads. That's a project that you've got to do. You're the only person that can do it. So you've got this whole list of stuff you've got to do. The way I think about this is I try to just stack rank all those things. So if I've got 30 things that are weighing on my mind that I've got to get done, I look at those 30 things and I say, what will give me the highest value? And highest value comes from a lot of places. Highest value comes from the greatest return on money. If I do this thing, it's worth $50,000 to me. If I do this thing, it saves me 5 hours a week. if I do this thing, it eliminates a bottleneck that my $100,000 worth of employees are being held up by. So I need to do this so they can keep moving. I need to do this thing so that I don't end up getting divorced because my wife is frustrated. Like, that's got high value. It's that kind of a thing. You kind of go through this list and you stack rank these things based on, are they bottlenecks to other people? Are they bottlenecks to me getting something done? What's the dollar value of the thing? How long will it take? And you literally go through and plan. And this is probably a once a week, once every 2 week activity. So you go through and you make your plan. I would tell you should make your plan when you feel good, when you have energy, when you're optimistic, when you're not excited, better said, exhausted. When you are positive, optimistic, energetic, make your plan, not when you're beat down. You make your plan, and your plan is, for me, it's nothing more than a Trello board, which is a sequential list of items. So I just literally drag them into place, and these are the things. And then you go into machine mode for the next week, next 2 weeks, however long it is that you work this plan. And you do them one at a time, one after another. But it really works, and you've literally organized them. But this whole, I'm going to do a little of this one, I'm going to do a little of this one, oh, today I feel like doing this one, and then a little bit of that one, that jumping around, nothing ever gets done. You don't feel like you're making progress. You continue to be frustrated. And everybody else around you that's waiting on things to get done, they just keep waiting because you're working on 4 things at one time instead of just knocking one off the list and getting that done for whomever's waiting on you. Again, this is the fastest way to move things forward. And I gave the example earlier of wealth is created and it's proven by ownership of one thing that is phenomenal. The richest people in this country, the wealthiest people own one company. One, you can just go down the list. Microsoft, Amazon, you name it. Just go down the list. Facebook. These are individuals who built one thing. If you get outside of the known names and you're talking to individuals that are of very high net worth, which I know many, many of these individuals, and I know them well, it's the exact same story. It's the focus on a thing and making it great that builds real wealth and real satisfaction and gives you tons of optionality in the future. And if you extrapolate from that, the data also says the extreme focus on a few things that support the one thing you're building is the fastest way to make progress, whether that be you personally or your team. Everything I'm talking about applies to your team in exactly the same way. There's a famous story of Peter Thiel, who was one of the core guys along with Elon Musk at PayPal. And that was Peter Thiel's thing. It's like you couldn't, if you wanted to talk to him, you could only talk to him about the thing that was the most important thing for you to be working on right now. You couldn't talk to him about anything else. You could only talk to him about that thing. I've heard stories, and I don't know if this is a private story I've heard or a public story. I've heard these stories of Elon Musk as an example, who just spends his time solving problems. So if there's a problem at one of his companies, he and some number of engineers will fly to that company and they will stay there till that thing is done. And then they fly on to the next thing and they work on that thing till it's done. And that's how they move the ball forward fast. If you apply that to your business and to the way you process your own projects that you need to get done in life, you'll find that you move forward faster. You'll also find you trust yourself more. If you trust yourself to follow the system and you've seen it proven out that you get results by doing it, it will bring down your frustration level. And yes, you won't get everything you want as fast as you want it, but you'll have this confidence that you're going to get it. You just have to work the process. And the final thing I'll tell you is there's planning and then there's execution. Remember, you plan, then you go into machine mode, and then you plan, and then you go into machine mode, and then you plan. One of the biggest challenges that we have as leaders of our businesses is oftentimes the planning is really challenging, and it's one of the reasons why we don't do it, because we don't know what to do. We're not sure what the very best activity is. We don't know what the 3 to 5 things are that we should be doing. We don't know what the individual activities we should be doing ourselves are. And what I would tell you on this one, and there's no easy answer, because I will tell you in my businesses, my favorite phrase is, let's just test it. Let's step into it. Let's try it. because there's nobody that has all the answers. I don't have all the answers. I might have more than many, but I don't have all the answers. There's a lot of things that may or may not work, and we've got to try them. So there's this element of you have to, if you don't know what to do, you've got to make yourself aware of a lot of possibilities and ideas and learn from others, much like watching this video or by getting a coach. And you try your best based on talking to people who have actually done it and are running way ahead of you. You take those ideas, and the ones that resonate, you test them. And if it's not working, you throw it out and you test the next idea. But I will tell you that it is difficult to know exactly what to do sometimes. And for that reason, it doesn't always feel like you're making forward progress. But over time, if you're exposing yourself to a lot of ideas and a lot of really smart people, and you're getting in coaching groups, and you're getting around other peers like yourself in your industry that are running ahead of you, that is the fastest way to figure out what to do. You ask somebody ahead of you. You take that concept and you implement it. And if it doesn't work for your business, you throw it out and you replace it with an alternative idea. But from my experience, generally, the ideas that come from coaches who are well ahead of you and are excellent coaches, from peers that are running really great businesses, or from watching very select YouTube videos or reading very select books, that will give you, those 4 examples right there will give you everything you need to build your business. And by building it, I mean to plan, and then you go into machine mode. So I'd highly encourage you to break things down at this way. Run your business in 3-month periods. Plan, execute, plan, execute. Run your personal life and have your team members run their personal life in the very same model. Focused on one big thing, one big business. Go all in on that. You wake up in 5 years and you have something incredible that most people don't have.